All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of Red Carpet Living with Jenn. I am your hostess, Florida-based realtor Jennifer Mercado, and I have a very special guest with us today who is going to help me introduce the theme for April's podcasts. As you know, it is typical of April to signify rebirth, renewal, and spring cleaning. So I invited Toye Penny today to talk to us a little bit about self help, self-care, all things of taking care of yourself, and the amazing business that she's amassed. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about what she does. Welcome aboard, Toye.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for having me. Super
My
excited to be
pleasure.
here.
Yay. I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you said yes. So happy for all the gems we're going to be dropping on everybody, and really just informing them that, health is wealth as well. It's what we have, and we want to make sure we're taking the best care of it, especially now in this month where we're doing new things and we're cleaning out the old. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what led you to focusing on that as your career.
Sure. So I'm Toye Penny, by the way, from toypenny.com, and I'm a holistic well-being strategist for celebrity and high-performing CEO moms, where I help them put their oxygen mask on first so they can save everyone else around them. And so I do this I created a method called the Love You More method, and I exclusively guide my clients through this method so that they can reduce mental load, drop the functioning addiction cycle, prevent the risk of a health breakdown, and model well-being for generations to come.
I love that. And I love that you're kind of hinting at productivity looking different for everybody else. And I love that that's such a great segue that we're going to get into. So
Yeah.
what was it about your life? What was a problem that you were looking to solve in taking these steps of now helping other women to put on their air mask first?
Sure. So basically, very briefly, my story began when I lost my mother to lupus at the age of 9 years old. I am actually still putting those pieces of my life together. And so my father passed away. Not my father, but my father was not present until I was about 18 years old. I actually had to search and find the man. And so I didn't know him. I was sexually abused at the age of 13, and I became a teenage mom by the age of 16 and gave birth to her 1 week into my 17th birthday. And as I'm going back down memory lane, I remember giving birth to my daughter, who is now 21, by the way. I remember giving birth to my daughter and holding her in my arms, saying, "It's just me and you. It's just me and you." And from that moment forward, it was like something, a breath of air just lifted out of me, and I just completely just took off. I remember, man, I remember taking taxi cabs in the summertime, going to tutoring, going to, trying to get all of my tests in a row. I made it a mission and a point not to miss school because I was giving birth. And so I remember taking taxi cabs. I remember going I was raised by my grandmother, and I remember taking taxi cabs and doing all of these things so that I can excel and graduate top of my class. And that's exactly what I did from high school with a 1 year old. And right after that, I was so excited. But right after that, I wanted to be a makeup artist, by the way. And uh, and I wanted to go out to California. I had my school all planned out and everything, but the family was telling me there was nobody there to support me with the baby and just all that stuff. So I put those plans on hold. And I remember saying, okay, I think I'm gonna go to massage therapy school. I don't know where that came from, but I went to massage therapy school. So I went off to massage therapy school. I finished the school, and right after the school, y'all, I got hired at a high-end luxury day spa. At the time, I was still living with my grandmother, and but when I got hired at this place, I got my first apartment, and I was 19. I got a first brand new ride, and that's a story in itself. But I got my first brand new ride off the lot. And I remember being super excited. So I was working at this place for about 2.5 years. And then the owner came to me and asked me if I wanted to buy the place.
Right. So
So,
as if everything that you've done wasn't enough, here you
I
are.
know, I know. So yeah, so this lady comes to me and asks if I want to buy the place. So she wants to do something else. And so I'm like, me? So I'm like, sure, like this is amazing. So I knew that this was going to be amazing opportunity for myself and my daughter. And so I started services with a couple of clients who were attorneys. And the next thing you know, y'all, I was 23 years old and I'm the owner of a luxury high-end day spa with 15 employees and my daughter and myself. And boy, it was absolutely amazing. I remember the proud face on my grandmother. I remember, her smiling. She bought me this clock with my name engraved and I put it on the wall,
Oh,
everything. But I remember everyone being so proud of me and I was so excited. And I mean, y'all, from at the age of 24, I built my first home from the ground up. I mean, so I was a homeowner at 24. My daughter and I, we watched, this house come up and just everything. I mean, it was amazing financially. Now, here is where my downfall happened. So I was pouring all of my energy, even though it was great, I was pouring all of my energy into this high-end luxury day spa. My employees, the staff and everybody, it takes a lot to run a high-end company.
right.
Just a company period. I don't even care if it's a high-end, but it's just a company period. It takes a lot. But with no business background, no anything, it takes a lot. So I was really diving all in because I do that with everything that I do. But I was diving all in. And I remember being stressed. I remember being overwhelmed. I remember developing that career facade of I have it all together. But on the back end, everything else was falling apart. My relationships was falling apart because I didn't have time to spend with those people. I barely had time for my daughter. We ate out every single day. And I was just overwhelmed, y'all. I was
And
just really overwhelmed.
it's very interesting that I think at that point of your life you got overwhelmed, right? Because we can applaud everything that you've done before, having a baby, making sure that you finish school, doing it with honors. Like you went beyond surviving to thriving. And now
Yeah,
here you are on the flip side of it, having everything, but then going into survival mode. So I thought that
yeah,
that was so interesting, like seeing that shift that you were doing it all, you were doing all the things, and then up until a certain point, which is now where you're getting into like your breakthrough, it
yeah.
flipped on you. You had to do more because you weren't internally okay.
Exactly, exactly. And it wasn't until y'all I actually went to no, what happened was I just noticed that I was just like eating out every single day. I was snapping at my daughter, barely had time for her. And so we didn't develop that really foundational relationship at 7, 8, 9, 10, all of those ages we didn't really develop because I was really focused, on this business. And I remember being stressed, like I said, and I ate out every single day. And something had to give. So I remember coming home with 4 slices of cold pizza. I fed her a chili cheese dog. Listen, this chili cheese dog had the works. It had, the hot dog, it had
The
the
worst.
eggs, the works. Listen, I even gave her the Dorito chips. She had some Dorito chips, the cheddar cheese ones, and I remember that was her favorite meal. And so, and I was like, okay, Chloe, something has got to give. So I researched some schools, found this nutrition/lifestyle school, and I enrolled in this school. So now I'm trying to run this business, be a mom, do everything, and now I'm in school. And so, and I realized that your lifestyle and food and everything was directly tied together. And I'm like, really? So I started really thinking. And I remember losing my mom at the age of 9. Man, just thinking about it, just like, whew.
Yeah.
I remember losing her at the age of 9, and no one told me that. All they told me was she was sick. That's all they told me. I never got to say goodbye. I never got to any of that. So no one really. I never had closure on that. I went to the
Yeah.
funeral, And I remember being on the front row. I remember crying, I remember kissing her and everything. But after that, it's just like, it just took off, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I realized, going back to that moment, I realized that those voids were manifesting through my actions as now a grown woman, a
Mm-hmm.
CEO, a mom, and everything else. And y'all, when I realized that, I was just like, I've got to change this. I got to
And
change
it's,
it.
yeah, it's such a beautiful moment of vulnerability, right? I think that it's so underutilized that we run away from our vulnerability, but that's where we
Exactly.
find our power. You found that there were things that were coming back that you needed to address because in ways that you didn't even think they'd be connected to each other, those old wounds were coming back. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to applaud you for that because there is a lot to be said of finding a soft spot, of finding a vulnerability, and instead of running from it, you went in and you're like, okay, this is coming up in what I eat, how I'm driving, how, I'm allowing myself to be overwhelmed, how I'm allowing myself to really take on more than I should. So
Yes.
what was the first step that you did in order to heal that? Well, what were some of,
I, I'm
besides
actually
reflecting
going.
on it?
I'm actually going to be honest with you. As a young woman, I didn't have both parents. I didn't have both parents in my life, and so I'm really successful at this time, 23, 24, really
Yeah.
successful. But then yet I'm looking for love. So I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I started dating men who weren't in alignment with who I was.
Right.
I was having sex with them, and I'm gonna be real. I was having sex with them. I
Yep.
was giving away my body, my soul,
Right.
and I wasn't even in love with them.
Right.
So not only that, those voids was showing up.
Yes.
They were showing up, and I knew that I had to deal with those voids first in order to get to the next level of my life and continue to excel. I knew that I had to deal with those voids first, right?
And you're absolutely right. And it will, you have that, um, you need to our viewers, for every, if you're listening, in every industry that you do, whether it's, in a coaching or in real estate or in sales or in a teacher, those voids come back and they really affect you from being your very best self. So I love
Exactly.
that you were understanding that, right? You took that time to learn from yourself and to really assess, is this where I want to be? Is this what is healthy for me? Is this what is going to help me get to the next level and be the next best me that I know I can be? So I think
Exactly.
that in and of itself too, and to have to do it at such a young age without having somebody to look up to who's model that for you, like that is amazing for you to have that courage within yourself, to not have seen it done before and to decide, but this is right for me and this is going to be right for my
Exactly.
daughter and this is what I
Exactly.
do. That's
Thank you so
amazing.
much. Thank you. Yeah, so I knew that I had to really start diving deep within. I had to start healing those wounds. I had to address the fact that I didn't say goodbye to my mom.
Right.
I had to address the fact that my father was not there. I had to address the fact that I was sexually abused at the age of 13 by somebody that I knew, by a boss, my first
Right.
job. I had to address that fact. I had to address the fact that I was a teenage mom, that I was giving my body away to these dudes that I didn't even like. I didn't even know anything about sex or whatever.
Mhm.
I had to address it.
So
And once
against
I
all
started
odds,
addressing, yeah,
amazing, against every single odd stacked against you.
yeah, yeah, all odds, all odds. But I knew that God had his hand on me, y'all. I knew it. I knew it. And when I tell you, I started really diving deep within, and I addressed those issues, and I knew that it started with me. I knew the decision started with me, and I knew that my daughter was paying attention.
Yep.
So what I did was, like I said, I started addressing those areas, and I started really focusing on myself. And once I started doing that, I noticed myself started to elevate in my company. I started to elevate in my personal life, in my relationships, in my finances. They started coming even more. I started
Right.
focusing on myself. So I attracted this dude from the U.S. Virgin Islands of St. Thomas. And y'all, when I tell you this man, even to this day, I'm like, Lord, you have completely blessed me. You know, like he spoils me to no end. He has, you know, very educated, 6 master's degrees. I mean, he is just, even my family are like, how, what? You know,
Right.
nobody understands how I got this dude. You know what I'm saying? He's not from here. He's not from here. But you know what? I had to really fix everything, and I had to own it and know that I was worthy of attracting that type of man and that greatness. And that's why I said God had his hand on me this
Right.
whole time. Even though he knew, God, I'm speaking of God, he knew that he was going to send me through all of this stuff. He still kept his hand on me,
Right.
and he still kept me throughout the whole thing. I was still smiling. I'm still joyful. And just everything. He kept me, y'all. He kept me. There was not one drug in place. There was not one alcohol in place. I've never drank a day in my life. I've never smoked. God has kept me. He has really kept me out throughout this whole thing. And so, y'all, I met this dude. I'm sorry I keep getting off track, but I was
It's
like,
okay.
I met this dude. And we started talking and dating. He took me to the U.S. Virgin Islands of St. Thomas. We had a great time. And on the plane ride back, God said in my ear, sell your business. So I was like, sell my business. Okay. So I stepped out on faith. I hired a broker, and he found this lovely this lovely husband and wife couple. And the next thing you know, about 2 weeks later, I'm signing on the dotted line, cash in my pocket, and I'm out the door. I'm out the door of this high-end luxury day
And
spa.
even a decision like that too, to have that kind of that internal fortitude and also understanding that it's taking care of you, right? You're doing things that are going to be aligned to your best interest. It may not have made sense
Exactly.
to many people at that time, but I'm sure now they're looking back like, okay, we thought you were crazy, but it worked out. So good for you. I think
Yes.
that really speaks to the level of how important it is to take care of yourself, to have self-care as a priority, because that's when that message became clear to you. And that's when you had that faith too, to be like, you know what? Yes, that does align with something that's better for me. So I'm going to go forward with it.
Exactly. And just like you said, like I'm telling you, my family, everybody thought I was crazy. They was like, you are crazy. What's wrong? But you know what? I was listening, I was in tune. I
Right.
knew what was better, what was best for me.
Right.
So I sold this business, y'all. ToyePenny.com was created. The guy from the U.S. Virgin Islands asked me to marry him. We got married. We had another baby girl and another baby girl. So I mean, even now, my family like, I cannot believe Toy. Like, it's just, I got 2 more kids. I mean, it's just the weirdest thing ever. It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing. And so out of all people, Toy. So, now, I'm married. So I'm pregnant with one. I have another one. And at this time, I have a teenager. So I'm trying to
Right.
juggle all of it, y'all, like all of it. This wife thing is new to me.
Right.
It's new. So, now I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 2 more girls, pregnant with one infant on my arm, and a teenager here who's starting to act out. She's starting to act out, y'all, and, getting a toot and just all this stuff. And I'm just like, Lord, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I remember, really feeling once again this overwhelmed feeling. And I'm like, okay, trying to tap back into myself, but it was really hard. It was really hard trying to do that and still trying to juggle everything and save everyone around me. So
Right.
once
Right.
again, I went to my bedroom and I said, Lord, how can I maintain myself, but yet maintain everyone else around me? Here's the word that he gave me. When you are whole and complete within yourself, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. When you're whole and complete within yourself, everything else falls into place.
I got chills. I got
Girl,
absolute chills because it's something that's like a constant reminder in my life too. We can't fill from an empty cup. If we
we
keep
cannot.
pouring out, we cannot help. And I love that yes, when you're whole, when you're 100, then you can, absolutely be in not just in a resentful place to help people, but in a peaceful place to help people where
Yes.
it's because you have that surplus and you're not giving because you don't have. I love that.
Yes, yes. And y'all, I'm telling you, as soon as that word came to me, I sat down and I started putting things together. I started writing and I started writing. I started writing. The baby was crying, I'm pregnant with one teenager. I don't care. I started writing, and I put together this method, and it's called the Love You More method. And here is my approach. So you have your primary foods or nourishment. I call it nourishment, but it's
Right.
food. Either way, it feeds you, but it doesn't
Right.
come on your plate. So you have your primary foods versus your secondary foods. Your primary foods are things like your mental and emotional peace, relationships that nurture your soul, never ending self investment, quality sleep, empowering physical activities, a thriving career, and a meaningful spiritual practice. Those are your primary foods. They feed you, but they don't come on your plate, y'all. Your secondary foods are the foods that you actually eat and put in your mouth.
Right.
Those foods should align with you and your body. Everything should fall in alignment.
Right.
If you are overeating on your primary foods, then you tend to undereat on your secondary foods and vice versa. So I like to give an example of, you have this woman who's, she's really focused on, working out and, just being fit and fine and just all that stuff. But she is overly stressed because she has so much drama in her life. She's overly stressed. Her husband's running in and out on her. Her mom, was not there for her. Her kids are acting up, but then she's working out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes, she's working out. Yes, she's getting her physical, her empowering physical activities, but yet she's still, it's sort of like it's counter interacting each other because she's overly stressed. So
Right.
she's still creating those toxins within her body, even
Right.
though she's working out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, cortisol, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Even if you're working out, yeah.
Even if you're working out, or you have that lady who's running this high-end company. Her kids are over stressing her. Now she's homeschooling because of
Yeah.
COVID. Her, her husband's stressing her out about, that he's not getting enough sex every week or whatever. And then she comes home and she dives into the chocolate cake every day.
Right. Or in my instance, because I can relate to this, like when I'm busy with work, my kids, then I don't eat, and my husband laughs
Exactly.
because he's like, if I don't put a plate of food in front of you, you will go the whole day not eating. And it's true. Like I don't pay attention to that part. So I absolutely get it. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why the primary foods and the secondary foods, because this lady who's running this company, she's homeschooling, her husband's stressing her out.
Right.
Because her primary foods are off, she runs to the secondary food.
Right.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's super important that you have this balance and you're feeding yourself on your primary. You're still feeding yourself secondary. Of course, we're going to have secondary, but you want to make sure that your primary is all together. So
Right.
those are your primary foods and your secondary foods. That is basically the Love You More method.
And I love that because you're marrying not just your body and your soul, but also the spiritual aspect to it, right? So you're making sure your body's nourished, your mind is nourished, your heart and your soul are all nourished. And it's I think one of the most wholesome, I think, approaches I've seen to self-care in this method. But let's just say, viewer or listener, that you have only stumbled across self-care as a buzzword and you're not sure how to even approach it. Boy, what would be some of your tips or your advice for somebody who's looking at self-care for the first time ever in their whole life? Like, what are some actionable steps they can do to understand that it is a choice that they can make and it's something that's going to help benefit them in the long run?
Right. So honestly, I believe that self-care, the word self-care is like overrated. So many people are using self-care, this and that, and this, self-care. But self-care is deeper than getting your hair done,
Yes.
getting
Yes.
your hair done, getting a massage, self-care. And that's why I call it self-investment, because it's an investment.
Right.
In order to get to the next level, you must invest in yourself first. So I truly believe that diving into your mental and emotional peace, Of course, your sleep, your exercise,
Mhm.
the whole Love You More method, everything, it all ties in, it all plays into part,
Right.
and it all comes together as one. So you can't do one element without the other. And this is ever evolving. It's ever evolving. One minute you might be missing out on sleep and secondary foods. The next minute you might be missing out on, your relationships
Right.
and a thriving career. You know what I'm saying?
I love
So
that. Yeah.
you gotta fill in, you gotta pay attention, and you gotta see where am I missing? Which element am I missing? And let's plug it in and fix this.
I love that. And to take it a step further too, to what she was just saying about it changes, it's having patience with yourself, right? So maybe you've got the sleep
Exactly.
on target, maybe you've got your relationship on target, maybe there's another area of you that needs work. You don't always have to focus on the same one area, but be patient with yourself. And just like she said, be in tune with yourself, be aligned with the things that feel right for you. There is no one, exact method of self-care for everybody. It looks different based on
Exactly.
everybody. And I love that you had mentioned that too, because even for me, it changes, right? One day I want to focus on my emotional, maybe the next day I want to focus on my physical. It really is just having that self-grace and that patience with yourself that tomorrow's going to look different. But as long as you're choosing that and you're looking within yourself, that you'll have the answers that you need. So thank you so much
Exactly.
for I love that.
Exactly. And we don't want to look outside of ourselves. Know that everything that we need is inside of ourselves. When you were created, everything that you need is right inside of you. And a lot of times we look outside of ourselves. Oh, he had an attitude, so I'm going to have an attitude. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
think because he had an attitude, now you're going to snap off. No,
Yes.
no, it's you. It's
Yeah.
you, and it's your reaction to his attitude. You're not responsible for him, but you are responsible for you.
I laugh
You,
because how
yes.
many hypothetical arguments have all of us had in our head and the other person doesn't even know? They don't know you're
Exactly.
having a fight with them in your head.
Yes, yes. So it's that's why it's important to be in tune and you do the work on yourself. It is like I said, it's ever evolving because anybody can snap off. The lady at Starbucks can have an attitude. Maybe, maybe she had a stressful night. Maybe she didn't sleep, but she has an attitude with you. But now you're popping off and messing up your day because she had an attitude and
Right.
it's not even worth it. So it's really diving deep and figuring out, why am I acting this way? Why am I responding this way? Why is my response this way? Okay, did I not get enough sleep last night?
Yeah.
Did that
I love
argument with
that.
the kids that I had the other day, is that
Yes.
messing me up? So
Yes.
you really have to really think about it and figure out, why am I acting this way?
I absolutely agree. And it's always it comes in that moment of reflection too, kind of like you had way at the beginning of your journey. Like, what is it? What is that's going on that is alerting me that something's not right, something's not in alignment. So I think if
Exactly.
anything that anybody takes away, and there was so much for self-care here. So just replay
Oh
it,
yeah.
keep your notepad down. There's a bunch that we talked about, but I think if anything you walk away with, it's that take that time for yourself to figure out, what do you want? How can you alleviate that? Where are you not in alignment? Where are you not giving yourself the space to hear your inner voice and really take care of yourself, and the things that you maybe have been ignoring or that you don't think affect you, they do. And if anything, spend time with yourself, be it, meditation, jogging, however, so that you can figure out what is the self-care that's going to work for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
Um,
I love this. If please let me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I was just finishing. I was fixing to say also, mental and emotional piece. A lot of us have a lot of, things going on. Like I said, whether it's childhood trauma or whether it's present. But when you are really addressing your mental and emotional piece head on, you're
Mhm.
able to deal with and you're able to move on. So I like to say it as feel, deal, heal. So
Ooh,
once you're feeling it, you're able to deal with it. And then from there, you move to heal from it. And
I like
so
that.
if you're not feeling, dealing, healing, then you're just really surviving. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I wrote
And so
that
a
down. That's
lot of
awesome.
Yes, a lot of us don't want to feel the pain. We don't want to feel, listen, it was rough being sexually abused at 13. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That was rough.
A lot of
But
life,
I
and
had,
we could pick any moment in your life and we can say, no, that was
yeah,
pretty rough. Yeah.
it was rough. But I had to feel the pain first. And that's what happened in the beginning when I first took over the business. I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
I never took time to feel it. So
Right.
you got to feel it. You got to sit in it. And I know COVID has allowed us to really sit in it.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it
why a lot
did.
of divorces are happening. That's why a lot of, people are overeating, they're stressing out because they had time to really sit in it
Yeah.
and they've had to feel it. And it doesn't feel good, y'all. But
Oh,
growth,
yeah.
on the other side of growth and change, you gotta feel it. You gotta feel it.
Oh my God, I
So
love that.
yeah,
That
so once you're feeling it, you're able to then move on to dealing with it. And from there, you can now heal from that pain.
Amen. There's just nothing else to say after that. I feel like that's a great
Yeah.
place to end it because that's exactly
Yes.
where everybody needs to begin is in feeling with it, dealing with it, and healing it. I love it. Um,
Yes.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Actually, don't sign off just yet, but viewers, audience members, if you're listening on the podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to hit subscribe. I'm going to leave in the description box and also in the podcast notes all the places that you can find Toye. If you're interested in her work, follow her on her social media and get more involved in different ways that you can initiate self-care because you can do that today. So thank you so
Yes.
much for spending this time with me. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. And until then, take care and be well.